The Ohio River Valley, which streams westward from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Cairo, Illinois, is the largest tributary by volume of the Mississippi River in the United States. As settlers began to come to the frontier, fur trade became very profitable and valuable. Many British settlers crossed the Appalachian Mountains to participate in the fur trade. This upset many French colonists who believed they already had claimed this land. This disagreement would cause a war that would later down the road change the world. When the French first entered North America, their primary focus was gaining wealth through the fur trade. They viewed Indians as trading partners, as important elements in acquiring the furs that they would generate great wealth. Following the system of rivers and lakes, French traders used Indian canoes penetrated deep in North America to be successful. The French traders learned Indian languages, often dressed in Indian style, and married Indian women. The fur trade in the 17th century was globalized. That is, furs obtained from the Indians in North America were transported to Europe, where they were sold for a profit. To obtain these furs, the traders imported European manufactured goods which the Indians wanted. This created a good relationship between the French and the Indians. In the first engagement of the French and Indian War, a Virginia militia fighting for the British under 22-year-old Lieutenant Colonel George Washington, who would later on defeat the British in the American Revolution, defeated a French party in southwest Pennsylvania. In a surprise attack, the Virginians killed 10 French soldiers from Fort Duquesne, including the French commander Coulon de Jumonville, and took 21 prisoners. Only one of Washington's men was killed. For the first couple years of the war, the French were dominating the British. One of the battles that was the most devastating was the Battle of Monongahela. The Battle of Monongahela took place on July 9, 1755. General Braddock and his men were moving to take Fort Duquesne and was defeated by a force of French, Canadian, and local Indian troops. This was a devastating loss for the British, with over 1,000 casualties, and one of them being their best military commanders. This was the peak for the French during the war. The tide turned in 1757 because of William Pitt, the new British leader, saw the colonial conflicts as the key to building a vast British empire. Borrowing heavily to finance the war, he paid Prussia to fight in Europe and reimbursed the colonies for raising troops in North America. In July 1758, the British won their first great victory at Louisbourg, near the mouth of St. Lawrence River. A month later, they took the Fort Frontenac at the western end of the river. Then they closed in on Quebec, where General James Wolfe won a spectacular victory on the Plains of Abraham. With the fall of Montreal in September 1760, the French lost their foothold in Canada. Soon Spain joined France against England, and for the rest of the war, Britain concentrated on seizing French and Spanish territories in other parts of the world. After many consecutive defeats, the French had no choice but to surrender. At the Peace Conference in 1763, the British received Canada from France and Florida from Spain, but permitted France to keep its West Indian sugar islands and gave Louisiana to Spain. The treaty strengthened the American colonies significantly by removing their European rivals to the north and south and opening the Mississippi Valley to westward expansion.